Yes, and we're live again. How are you, Amy?
I am so happy to see you. It feels like a burst of sunshine on my screen.
I love it. It's so crazy. I was just looking at our picture from Boston because it was a secret business trip that I hadn't let anyone know about. And so I'm like, oh yay, I can finally say that I was in Boston. It was
I know.
such a good experience. And I came in, like you said, at the perfect time because it was kind of a pseudo holiday, or actually, no, it was a holiday. And so we were able to
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah. It was wonderful to be able to be with you in person. And I'm just so proud of all the work that you're doing and all the good things that come from listening to you and your wisdom and the people that you collaborate with. So I was catching up on some of your prior podcast episodes yesterday because I knew we had this conversation coming up, and I just kept taking these pearls of wisdom. You call your low vibrating self Lola. I love that.
Yes,
Apologies to all the real Lolas out there. But I
I
have
know.
names for all my different personalities.
Yes, people I like to name it because if it has a name on it, then I can identify when, hey, this isn't really who I am or who I want to be. And so
Hmm.
thank you for your service. I'm so grateful that you feel you have to defend me in this moment, but I got this. And we're gonna go from there.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I have my superhero alter ego who, when I'm nervous about doing something, I let her take the lead. She kind of steps in front of me. And that persona, my superhero's name is Anna Maria. And she is
Ooh.
fabulous. So she's got like the sassiness when I need that little spark.
Yes, mine is Melissa. Like, kind of like how Beyonce has Sasha Fierce, mine is
Hmm.
Melissa. Anytime I'm feeling like afraid or unsure, I'm like, okay, Melissa has to take center stage because, she has a little bit more than I do. And it's amazing to watch too. And it's also funny that we just hopped right into things, but
Sorry.
it's amazing. If you guys can't tell, Amy and I consider her my mentor, one of my
And
sponsors. She
vice
is
versa.
listen, I love me some Amy and Amy loves her some me. We are together. We are in this. I don't care where she goes. Hi, Amy. How are you? How you doing? Listen, it's the love is just that real. But knowing who you are, even knowing like, hey, there are different aspects of my personality that need to shine in this moment,
Mhm.
knowing who you are and being like confident and being okay in whomever that is or whomever those persons are in that moment, it really does inform your choices. So, who do you say you are?
Ooh, I am a woman on a mission to discover her best self. And I'm on a mission to let every human being that I encounter know that they can change the world. They just have to get out of their own way. But like most of all, I'm just trying to get out of my own way. And I want to do really good work in the world, whatever shape that takes, and I want to have fun doing it. And I don't ever, ever, ever want to try to be perfect or show up as something I'm not. And I want everybody who encounters me to be like, oh, if she can do it, of course I can do it.
I man, it's there were so many gems in there, right? That I'm trying to pick up on and put down at the same time. But I think it was for me when you said you're a woman on a mission,
Mm.
because being on a mission means that you are clear on what it is that you want. And so many times that not being clear, and you don't have to have every step or know all the things, but that being clear that, hey, I'm going somewhere, I'm headed somewhere, it helps to ensure that you actually get there. That
It
is
does.
brilliant.
I will say though, for me, it's different than knowing what I want to be when I grow up. Like if you asked me what kind of work do you want to do? What is your professional person? I don't have one. I've never been able to answer that question. I can tell you what work do I want to do now? So my mission for me is much more about, do I feel like I am living 100% in full contact with the skin that I'm in? And am I moving through the world in a way where I let it all pass through me, the good stuff and the bad stuff? That's the mission I'm on. And can I do that in a way that helps other people get a little bit more comfortable being their full, glorious, messy selves as well. That's the mission. It takes a different form based on where I'm at professionally and personally and what I'm into at the moment.
I really like the my big messy self. Like, you can still make all the impact and still not have it all together, still be working to figure it out, still be unclear as to the actual name, but to know, like, you have a mission, you have a purpose, you're headed somewhere, even if you have no freaking clue exactly where there is, enjoying the journey, enjoying the process of getting there, it changes things. Like, it makes it so that it is such a different experience. Because here's the thing, change is not easy, no one, but it is necessary, and it's also the only constant. So because
Yes.
of that, starting something new is always scary. Like, always and forever, it is scary. But being on a mission helps you to challenge yourself, right? To grow through your process. So, how have you continued to challenge yourself while growing and learning through your process?
Oh, so many ways. I'll share 3 things. I'll share, first of all, I think it's because change was so scary that I finally was like, "I'm just gonna make change my bitch." Like, and, once you're a part of it and you're like, "Yeah, change, is that all you got? Come on, let's see
Yeah.
what you really got," and you put yourself in it, it's not so scary anymore. It just is what it
Oh,
is. So, the first
mhm.
thing I had to do was stop being afraid of change, worrying that whatever little monument to perfection I had managed to, like, stack up on my little house of cards, it was gonna get blown down time and time again, and, once I leaned into that and became part of the monster blowing down my own little house of cards, change, we became buddies instead of enemies.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's not scary, it just means that the fear is part of the fun. So that's number 1. Number 2, I have a really, really good friend. His name is Paranay Malik. He is one of the biggest change makers in my world. And he was telling me a story about how, in his childhood, he used to feel a lot of fear. He's deaf, and he would feel a lot of fear navigating in the world of hearing people. And
Yeah.
suddenly he realized, and he was like a young kid when he realized this. He was so wise before his time. He said, "The physical sensation of fear in my body is almost identical to the physical sensation of excitement. The sweaty palms, the racing
Mm.
heart, the butterflies in my stomach." And he said, "Once I realized that physically they were identical, I could shift my mindset around fear, and I could just look at fear as another form of excitement, and I could change the name of it if I wanted to. I didn't have to call it fear, I could call it fun." That
Yes.
was like, whoa, like light bulb moment for me. And then the last thing I'll say is, I'm a pretty soft couch potato character, right? I'm going to be 50 years old soon. I'm not an athlete. I have found testing myself, like really physically challenging myself in the world of athletics and adventure,
Mm.
completely changed my ideas of personal and professional growth. And I only discovered this like 3
Yeah.
years ago. So 2 weeks after I saw you, I did that crazy mountain climbing event where I climbed 29,000 feet in 36
Oh,
hours or less. I did it in 31. I finished.
what?
Alicia, I was not myself. Like on lap 12 at 11 at night with the snow and the rain coming down on the mountain, I had to be completely somebody else to continue to push myself up and down that hill. And when I finished, I was Amy again, but I was Amy with like a little bit more, right? There was another thing I checked off that said, wow, that was ugly. There was mud, there was snot, there was rain, there was swearing, there was vomiting, but I did it. And if I can do that, what else can I do? So pushing myself physically has become like a really big part of my growth practice.
There were so many gems in there. The whole it's changing your perspective, you know, because it's not fear, it's fun. And then 2, pushing yourself because you used to be deathly afraid of heights, and now you're
Oh,
climbing mountains. Like,
yes.
what is this?
Um,
That's amazing.
I I don't know. I wouldn't have tried it without my husband is my best friend and my best partner, and he loves to climb. He has no fear of heights. And he just kept saying to me, "It's not rational. It's not rational." And I was like, "I know this. We can have irrational fears. They're just as comforting and cozy and shiny and sparkly as the rational fears." Um, and there was just something about having his leadership and his partnership to say, "I know you can do this. And even if you hate every second of it, doing it will transform you." And knowing that he had my back no matter what. If I tried and failed, and there were so many hills we started to climb together where I couldn't make it to the top because I was just paralyzed by fear, and he never pushed me to go further than I could go in that moment, but he always pushed me to go back out there the next day. So, I have to thank God and I have to thank him for pushing me over that hurdle, but anything physical. I'm a terrible swimmer. I can't walk in a straight line. I can't get on the dance floor, and not be anything but 2 left feet. And all of a sudden, it's just, again, it's shedding that whole idea of perfection. Like, do I want to go through life not dancing? Do I want to go through life not swinging for a home run? Do I want to go through life not seeing the view from the top of the mountain? No, like doing that, having that experience is worth so much more than the pain of getting there.
Oh, and this is why I love my conversations with you, because every single like keynote, it's just, and I don't mean a keynote as in a speech, but I mean just like every time you speak, there's something to be gained from it because it is asking yourself, what do I want my life to look like?
Yeah.
Am I going to be so afraid that I'm going to miss out on the best things of life because I feel I'm not perfect? I don't know how to move like this one. I don't know how to do like that one. Yes, my husband can do this, but I'm too terrified. So I'm just going to sit here on the ground. And it's like, but the view from the top, and that's wherever your top is, it doesn't necessarily
Yes.
have to be a mountain. Although I'm with your hubby, like, yes, where are we climbing? I want to do all the things. I wanna hike up the mountains, like, let's do something adventurous. I wanna swing from the trees. I wanna do all the things. I used to It's funny, my mom used to get so upset with us. So I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, and I would encourage my siblings to climb on top of the one-story house that we had, and there was a huge tree.
Oh,
The
no. Oh,
the tree
no.
was so big. And it had these really, really long branches that
Uh-huh.
brushed the roof, and we would climb on top of the tree, and then we would jump onto the big branches and then swing down below. I don't know how we never broke a bone. It's bananas. We definitely should have broken some bones. But that for me was fun. I've been that type of like adventurer for forever.
Ugh,
Like I went whale watching on jet skis in Cabo. Like these huge whales and we're on little jet skis and if they get pissed off enough, we're
you're
goners.
going, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's the one. Let's do that. But so that's how honestly I have handled my like frustrations and my mental exhaustion because and you and we've talked about it. We're ambitious women.
Oh,
You
yes.
know, we want to go get the thing. We want to, oh, this, yes, I can do this. No one's ever done it before. Who cares? Let's try it. And so there's some real, exhausting moments that come when you are dedicated to real growth. So like how
Mhm.
have you handled like the frustrations and the mental exhaustion that comes with your desire to grow?
Carbs and naps help a lot. Lots of carbs, lots of naps. And I'm not even kidding. Like, if I need a donut, I'm gonna eat a damn donut. And if I need to move a meeting because I've got to shut my eyes for 20 minutes, I know the work that I'm doing and the level I'm vibrating at and bringing that to others, I can take the donut or the 20 minutes nap. Like, I deserve that and I need that. So carbs and naps are 2 big things. But the other thing, so I was coaching one of my girlfriends this morning. She's in a new job and she's at about week 5. And I said to her, and she's like, I'm not getting anything right. It's all, I can't get organized. I can't get out of my own way. Like, good, you're in the pit of despair. That is exactly where you should be at week 5 in a new job. It means the blinders are off and you're actually going to be good at this. And she was like, but how do I get out of it? I don't want to feel this way. And I had 2 pieces of advice with her. I said, number 1, you got to share this moment with your team. She's like, no, I got to be strong for them. I don't want them to feel this way. I'm like, they need to know you are real and you need to draw strength from them. You give them strength 99.9% of the time. This is the moment where you need to draw strength from them. You need to share this feeling, this moment with your team. They will love you for it. You are be a better leader. But the other thing I told her was like, you got to make misery an art form. Like wallow in it, like light the candles, put on the sad music, watch the worst Hallmark movie ever. Like just wallow in the misery and do it better and more over the top than anyone else has ever done it. Like, you know how they say the only way out of something is through it? The same is true for these feelings. And man, you can even make misery fun if you like think of everything in your life as like, how do I elevate this to an art form?
Oh, you know what is amazing about what you just said? Is I was talking to one of my therapists because I have multiples. Listen, I've got a lot of things to work through,
Don't
but
we all?
I was talking to one of my therapists, and she literally said one of the same things that you just said. Become okay with sitting in your feelings.
Yes.
Sit heavy, like I mean, relax. Kick your feet up, feel all the things, feel them deeply, feel them intensely. Because once you felt them, then you can start to work your way through them because you're not trying to fill all the other things with distractions from them. Like, no, I have to vibe high and feel good all the time. No, sometimes you feel shitty.
Yeah. You
Sometimes you
got
do.
to let Lola have her day in the sun, right?
Let her have her day. Try not to be around too many people when you're having your day, but let her have her day. And sometimes it's
Exactly.
longer than a day. Like for me, I think I've been in a lower place for the past like 90 days. This is the longest I have allowed myself to feel this way. But finally, there was a break, honestly, about 4 days ago, where I was just like, okay, I felt like this long enough. I have tried to ignore this long enough. Now I'm going to allow myself to feel it as deeply and as intensely as I can. And finally, acknowledging the low place that I was in and the vibes that I was not vibing high. There were no high vibes,
Mhm.
there were low vibes 85% of the time. But allowing myself to feel it, kind of like what you said, you can make misery a place where, like, okay, this is how I'm feeling, but this is what I need in these feelings, in these moments. This is how I'm
Yeah.
going to honor what I'm experiencing so that I can walk my way through this shit. Because ignoring it isn't working. It's not working.
So true. So one of my therapists, although she may not know she's my therapist because she's like an idol, that you all can follow. Her name is Dr. Sasha Hines. She's incredible. Like I think one of the first women to really embrace and move through the positive psychology field and share that with all of us. She said something, I can't remember if it was in a podcast or a conversation I was lucky enough to have. She said an emotion is really just a physical vibration, and the intensity of it never lasts in your body for more than 90 seconds. It you may feel it again and again and again, but 90 seconds is about as long as one of the intense physical vibrations of an emotion lasts. And once she said emotions are physical vibrations in your body, they no longer become these big demons, right? That you have to
Mhm.
solve or you have to
Yeah.
fight or you have to tame. It's like it's a physical sensation like a cold, ice
Yeah.
cube against a sensitive tooth or a hot flash or whatever. Like it's just another physical sensation and you don't need to make it
Yeah.
more than that.
Listen, that was such a juicy nugget Primarily because when you can understand that, again, you're not trying to solve it. And you literally just said it. It's not something you have to solve anymore. It's
Right.
something that you feel, you allow yourself to feel it, you acknowledge it, and then you keep going. Whatever keep going looks like. If it's getting some carb because you need a donut, or, pushing a meeting because you need a nap, whatever it is, it's okay.
Yeah.
But when you try and deny it, then it keeps coming back, and it's like knocking on the door like, "Hello, are you going to acknowledge my existence, my presence? I am not okay. Hey, this is what we can do to make me okay. If you just acknowledge the fact that I'm here, I am existing, and I am having an experience that doesn't make me feel safe, doesn't make me feel seen, and honestly terrifies me." What does it look like for us to be more honest with ourselves?
And
Like,
think about, how do you lead by example if you're not living honestly?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like, my mission is to show everybody, like, I want to live life as the real me and have I want to skid in sideways with no gas left in the tank on that last day. I don't want to be like, oh, she lived a really careful life and she had this really nice resume. Like, I want it all. And
Yeah.
how am I going to inspire other people to know that they can have just as full, just as luxurious, just as exciting, just as exhausting of an adventure as I can,
Mhm.
if I'm trying to hide the low parts? Like, the low parts are some of the most interesting parts.
Yes, because for me, it's the how did you work and walk your way out of it? Like,
Yeah.
and there are people, of course, who don't like him for, and I can understand, I acknowledge everyone's point of view. But Jay-Z is one of my favorite people primarily because he should not be where he is. If you look at, this man was an entire drug dealer who now has amassed billions, billions, and is also helping to show other people how to do it in a positive way now, because he even acknowledged the way I did it was not the right way. This was wrong. And to have the accountability of self to say, hey, I didn't do this right. I messed up lives. I destroyed families. What I did was wrong. I don't want you to do that. You can make a different decision. This is what the different decision looks like. And then this is how you bring other people along so that as you're growing, now the rapper, whether you like his raps or not, I don't care. I'm talking about the human experience,
That's
that
right.
piece. Like
That's right.
the whole, hey, I did this wrong. This is how I corrected it. And now, hey, I want to bring you along too. Don't just spend all your money in clubs because that makes no sense. Fix your credit. You need credit so that you can build a legacy. Hey, look into buying art. Why you want to buy art? Because it appreciates and you don't get taxed the same way you do with capital gains by buying certain types of other properties. That for me, I'm just like, oh my good, I love, where do I take the notes? Because it's redefining your life's mission, because that does change. And so, like for you, if you had to sum up, like your personal life's mission in one sentence, and I know that is like super hard and it totally can and does change, but what would it be right now, like in this moment for you?
In this moment, it's just to be a completely honest woman. I just
Ooh.
want to be a completely honest woman. I don't want to perform for anybody, including myself. Um,
Mm.
that's it. That is my life's mission. If I can live as a completely honest woman, not performing, especially not performing for myself. I have my morning journal right behind me, and I wrote in there the other day, I wrote, I am not a fraud. I am
Mm.
actually authentically kind. I am really courageous. Like, these are not things I am pretending to be. Now, at one point, they may have been things I aspired to be, or I aspire to be more of, but I am those things now. And it's time to stop questioning myself. Is this real or am I faking it? So that's my mission right now. I just want to live as a completely honest woman, and I'm not going to perform for anybody. And the person I perform for the most is this person. I think we
Yes.
all do. I think we are all
Mhm.
trying to show that face in the mirror that we're as good as
Yeah.
we want to be. And
It's
sometimes it's like, you know what? I am there. I am that good. I am her.
You know, it is what you just said almost brought tears to my eyes because I used to ask myself, am I really this kind or is this something that I'm doing because it looks good? And
Mhm.
to be able to settle in the fact that no, I am who this is. This is me. There's a song, and I love Disney movies. Like, I will forever be a kid at heart. I love Disney movies. I love musicals. I love theater. I love all the things. Anytime it's an expression on a stage, I am there. I love it. There's a song, a movie that Zendaya was in with Zac Efron, I believe, and it was about the circus, and there's a song that says, "This is me."
Yes,
I
I
think it's
love
Greatest
that
Showman.
song. Yes.
This is me. I play it on repeat with my daughter in the car sometimes because she is only 11, so she has no clue who she really is yet, but she is sure of herself, and I'm like, "Oh,
Mhm.
this looks and feels so good." But to be willing to say, "No, this is who I am. This is who I show up as. There is no changing it." I knew, so my grandmother, she recently had a stroke, a really bad stroke, left her paralyzed on the right side of her body. Um, she definitely affected mentally, cognitively diminished,
Yep.
just all the things. And through that experience, so she was not very kind to us growing up. She was not kind to us. She was not kind to my mother. Not a very kind person at all. But we had to take care of her in ways that I never imagined I'd have to take care of any adult, from changing diapers and to helping with rehab, just some really, really um, things that you really would want someone who loves you to do for you, we had
Yeah.
to do for her. And in taking care of her one day, she started to cry and she was just like, "I'm so sorry." She's like, "You guys are so kind to me. Why are you so nice to me?" And it solidified in me that, hey, this isn't a performance, because when people don't have the mental capacity that they once had and they can still recognize the kindness, because no matter how she had treated us, my sister and I were still very kind to her. We didn't yell at her. We didn't hurt her. We made sure that we entreated her the way we would want someone to treat us if the situation were reversed. And with the whole not being willing to perform, not even for yourself, it solidified in me, because I would question sometimes, like, am I really this night? Like, am I being kind for real? Because I just wondered, because I'm like, am I sure? And the reason I almost shed a tear, because it's like, so I'm not the only person who questions that about
Oh,
who I
no.
am.
Of course not. We hear these accolades, and we get fed, like,
Mm,
we get the cocaine high of the
yeah.
compliments, and then we think that we're doing what we're doing to get more of that, and we start to
Mhm.
put the worst feeling in the world is wondering if you're really showing up as your true self or feeling
Yeah.
like you can't. We've talked about that a lot over the last couple of years. We've
Yeah.
talked about, how do you really bring your whole self into the world and feel safe? The big realization for me was like, even in my diary, I'm questioning, like, am I really, like, am I this or am I that? Like, I wasn't even being 100% comfortable with who I was in my own diary. And God help any of you if you ever steal my diary and read it, because, like, that's the most private space I have. So that was a big one for me. That was a big one for me to say, you know what? I'm not going to perform anymore. I'm going to trust that who I think I am and the feedback I get from others, it all aligns. It actually is me. This is me, and I'm going to trust in that. And I'm going to live that way.
It's the trusting in that is the most important, and I think it is the kindest thing you can do to yourself, to
Mm,
trust you. To
yes.
trust that even if you're still discovering your purpose, because it is not linear. It's not some straight line where, oh, I take this step and then this and then this and then this, and now we're here and we're going and we're moving. Purpose isn't linear. So, how have you, in the discovery of your purpose, and as it's as you are continuing to grow, what did your journey look like, and what is your journey continuing to look like? And then how do you suggest that, whether it's an emerging leader or a leading professional, how do you tap into the discovery of what your purpose is?
Yeah, well, first of all, I always tell people, like, stop looking for your life's calling. Very few of us will ever find it. Like, I think this whole advice about follow your passion, or I think for most of us, we got to make our passion. We got to become passionate about what we're doing. We can't expect the work to be the inspiration. We got to bring the inspiration to the work. I think there's an author, Elizabeth Gilbert. She's a phenomenally creative storyteller. And she gave a talk about butterflies and hummingbirds. And she said, 80% of us are the butterfly, not the hummingbird. The hummingbird has a single purpose, it's to pollinate. The butterfly is kind of all over the place. And more people are butterflies than hummingbirds. And she talked about this idea of, you got to bring the inspiration to the work, not look for the work that inspires you, because you may never find it. Or what you find inspiring in one phase of your life might not serve other important aspects of who you are. And so just because the work is inspiring doesn't mean it was the work that was meant for you. So the first part of my journey, Alicia, like, I just needed to pay my rent. I graduated from college with debt. I didn't come from a family that had the means to support me. There was no trust
Yeah.
fund for me to fall back on. And my blessed husband, he, we moved in together right after graduating college, and he had more of a mountain of debt than I had. So it was
Mm.
all about personal agency, like, get a job, pay the
Wow.
rent. Then it became, from paying the rent, it became like, can we move out of this one, unheated one-room apartment in Boston and
Ooh.
get to something a little bit better? And the first 10 years was just like, pay down the debt, put food on the table, be able to pay the light bill and the heating bill at the same time, not have to skim from month to month on one or the other. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
Then when we had kids, I thought, oh, I gotta be the role model, and I want to be the career woman who, the whole, like, I can do it all kind of thing. Whew, that was a disastrous decade, like
Treacherous times.
a disaster. And at some point around 40, and I'm like 49 and 3/4 now, at some point around 40, I woke up and said, I know what I like. I love interacting with human
Mhm.
beings. I love gathering and collecting people's stories. I'm a geek about process design. I like doing that. Like, these are the things I'm good at. And I just started curating a portfolio of experiences. I decided I was no longer looking for a particular role, a particular title. I just wanted to go out and have as many experiences and as many adventures in life as I could. And I wanted to add value along the way by doing the things I know I'm good at, which is drawing people out, making them comfortable enough to share their stories, solving problems through good process, bringing teams together, getting them inspired around a vision. So I still can't tell you, like, what kind of work I'll be doing in 2 years, what kind of work I'll be doing in 10 years. I can just tell you, whatever work I'm doing, I'm going to be excited about, because it's about the adventure and the experience I'm having and the people that I'm able to light up along the way.
We literally could drop the mic right there. Like, with that piece of, I don't want to call it information. It is definitely advice, but it's more than advice. It's better than advice. It is a way of living, because it's like, just get to a point and place and space to where you're clear on how you want to feel.
Yes.
Like, you're clear on how you want to feel, like curating your life. It's funny because I curate the people in my life. Like I said,
Mm,
growing up for me was really, really difficult. And I didn't have very kind people in my life. The adults, most of the adults in my life, they treated my family and I not so nice. And so I always said that I wanted to be a kind, successful person, and that I didn't have the word curate at the time. That just wasn't a word that I knew or used at that time. But now that I know the word, that I was going to curate the types of people and the types of experiences and adventures that I had in my life. I had gotten a really, really bad review from a boss when I was pregnant, and it was a high risk pregnancy. And there were so many struggles and issues that I was having that high risk pregnancy. And she told me in my year in review, she's like, you lost sight of what was most important, which was your job. And I looked down at my belly and I'm just like, you're aware that I'm high risk. You're aware my ex-husband at the time was away in the military. And so you're aware that I also have to have her by myself. And you're telling me that I've lost sight of what was most important, which was my job. Okay. It was that experience that helped me define and decide that I'm going to get a better boss. This one
Yeah.
isn't it. She doesn't have very much, she doesn't have very high emotional intelligence. I'm going to find something else, someone else, but this isn't it. And so I created what I wanted from the next part of my journey to look like. And so I always like to find out from those who not only I respect, but from folks who and for you, I love you. It's more, it's a respect thing. But how can like team members and folks who are in organizations, how can you create like those career, growth paths or plans that align with not only, their purpose, but then how can they also secure like sponsors and mentors to help them
Yeah.
achieve it? For me, it was making a decision that the way you do things does not work for me. Let me find someone who more aligns with how I want to show up in the world. That's what it was for me. But how do you suggest it's done?
So you're never one in a million, you're going to be lucky enough to fall in with the people that are the people that you need, right? Most of us have to go out and find them. And honestly, we all look up, right? We all look up and say, who's up there that can help me? And really, what I learned is we should be looking all around us. The people that are going to help you the most are the people that are at your level. Um, you got to be three things. I think you got to be super super clear on what are my
Yes.
strengths and what are my loves, like what are my joys. You don't have to know what your purpose is. You don't need to be able to sum up your mission in one sentence. It's a good tough exercise to always force yourself to do, like you forced me to do. But you need to know, what am I really good at and what are my loves? What brings me joy? And if you know those two things, then you look around for the other people and you say, who needs what I've got and who shares in my joy? And I think we all look for mentors and sponsors that are years ahead of us and higher up the ladder. And that's great. I get so much more benefit out of my tribe of friends and colleagues and partners and girlfriends that have all been through it with me, because every single one of us picks up something different walking that path. And we're much more willing to share and help each other try to get somewhere together than somebody to kind of reach back and carve out time in their busy schedule. The higher up you go, the busier you get. We think that's not the case,
Yes.
but it's the case. The
It is the
busier
case.
you get and the bigger your imposter syndrome can grow. So the
Mm.
last thing you're worried about is looking behind you to see who you can help down there. I wish that wasn't the case, but it's the
Mm.
case. And so God bless you if you get those great luminary sponsors. Sometimes you only need 5 minutes with them. I got to sit at breakfast with this woman, Carla Harris. Y'all know Carla?
Oh, yes, I've interviewed her before.
Oh, she's so
Life
I got to
changing.
have one breakfast with her, one breakfast. And she said, I asked her one question. I said, when you're sitting across from these CEOs and you're trying to influence them, how do you do it? And that's all I got. I got time for that one question, that one exchange. I have lived on that advice for the last 5 years. So would I say Carla's my mentor? I'd say Carla's my mentor. She gave me some of the most foundational advice I'll ever have. She doesn't know who I am. She doesn't remember that breakfast, and she didn't talk to me for more than 5 minutes, but that was enough. But the mentors and the
Mm.
sponsors that I need every day are my girlfriends, are my peers, are my work buddies and
Mm.
my work partners, who every single day can give me practical advice, actionable advice, can introduce me to somebody that they know. So that's my advice there is know yourself, know what you love, know what brings you joy, and then find your peers. Find your peers.
Ooh.
Your peers are just as important in terms of mentoring and sponsoring. They always say with a sponsor, like, who's talking about your career when you're not in the room? Well, your peers are all in those conversations. They're in all kinds of conversations where they can drop your name, they can promote your brand, they can advocate for you,
Yes.
and you can do the same for them.
Listen, okay, now we're really gonna mic drop on that because that was so find your peers.
Find your
Find your
peers.
peers. Okay, so and where can we stay connected? This was a juicy conversation. It was so juicy for me. But where can we stay connected with you? If you want us to stay connected, can we
Yeah.
find you on LinkedIn? Where can we all the
Find me
things?
on LinkedIn. So I recently changed jobs, changed companies after a very long time. I'm going through a roller coaster ride of like being a rookie and learning it all over again. So my profile's been kind of quiet. I'm like finding my space. I'm not out there with my voice yet on this new platform. I will be
Yeah.
back. And for all of your listeners, Alechia is my coach and my sponsor and my mentor when it comes to building my brand and putting my voice out there in the world. There's nobody better than you to learn from. But right now, you can find me on LinkedIn. Anybody who messages me from this podcast will get a personal response. And just thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for continuing to be one of my inspirations.
And thank you. If you guys have been listening to the podcast, stay connected, Alechia Reese on all platforms. And you can join our community at gotvaluenation.com. I cannot wait to continue these types of conversations. Thank you so much, Amy, for everything. This has been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Got Value podcast. Remember, there is true value in purpose, and the greatest discovery of your life will be exactly what yours is. Stay connected with us at gotvaluenation.com.